Hey, Pokemon Champions finally out. Everyone's happy, right? Yo, Pokemon Champions. Yeah. Nah, I'm in my room alone. I don't know who I'm pointing at. I'm not gonna lie. Pokemon Champions is finally out. Twitter's not happy. The internet is not, they're not having it. But I'm here to play a bit of a devil's advocate for this game. The game, let me go ahead and start here. It is flawed. There's nothing I'm not gonna, there's not a lot I can defend when it comes to some of the complaints about this game. Yes, it's running at like 30 FPS for some reason. Yes, they randomly got rid of like half of the viable items, which I'll get into a little bit later. And yes, there are multiple bugs of just moves and items not working in this game. That stuff I cannot defend at all, right? This is unbelievable. But let me say this. This is probably the easiest way to introduce somebody or introduce yourself into competitive Pokemon in general. Showdown is a great tool. I'm not gonna act like Showdown is not the most accessible tool of all time, right? It's free, it's web-based, you can play it on anything. But at the end of the day, if you hop in Showdown, you're probably just gonna get washed. You're not gonna win in Showdown game. How do I tell you? Like, in comparison to this game, I think it would be way easier to start on Pokemon Champions at least.
There was nothing cute about the ass whooping that they gave me. I was getting slaughtered out there.
If you go and try to run it up on Showdown, it is probably not going to work. You might win 1 or 2 matches, but the second you touch like an 1100s player, which isn't even that good to begin with, you're probably going to get waxed. But being free to play in this game is very easy, and honestly, I would say just start free to play. Anybody, unless you're like pro or you actually like do tournaments or you just want to be really high ladder, start free to play. They give you so many options, right? You get a couple of good mons off the start. I mean, you get like Garchomp, or not Garchomp, you get like Tyranitar. You can get quite a few viable Pokemon from pretty much doing nothing but loading the game and playing a few tutorials. And the Pokemon they give you when you're free to play are actually pretty good. Like the first team you get, I went online with it and I played a few actual real people, not the bots, because I'm not gonna lie, there is a couple bots and you know they're bots because they're spamming Scary Face. It doesn't really make sense. I don't know what that's about. But I used the base team they give you in the game and I was low-key watching a couple people that were like spamming some Mega Glamora, Dragonite, like all that, like using actual decent teams. I was watching them because they're just not better than me. Simple. They're just not better than me. Which obviously if you're getting in a comp, you're not going to be good. I'm not even good myself. They're just not better than me. So what does that make them? I don't know. But like you get extra box space as you climb ranks. You get so much free tickets. You get a ton of free VP. Like I could build 2 full teams right now just off of the free VP I've gotten from doing the tutorials, just playing a few matches, winning a couple matches, and it's just not hard to like get yourself together in this game at the start. And this video isn't going to be about the flaws or like the complaints I've been seeing on Twitter. That might just be a separate video, but I will say this. I see a lot of people complaining about like the lack of Pokemon or the lack of items or whatever else, right? But at the end of the day, this game is just Pokemon Let's Go for competitive. Like, that's all it is. But, like, I remember when Let's Go dropped and they got rid of, the regular random encounters in the tall grass and they replaced it with the overworld sprites. And they got rid of battling the wild Pokemon. They got rid of a lot of different things and they changed a lot about a Pokemon game fundamentally just to introduce a bunch of people to playing games on the Switch. Like, it feels like the whole point of Pokemon Champions is just to get the casual audience to at least step their toe into Pokemon competitive play, right? Yes, they changed a lot about the game fundamentally. Sure. I'm not mad that people are complaining that it's just not playing the way they thought it was going to play. I thought it was going to be different too. I'm not going to lie. But this is literally just a simplified, dumbed down version of VGC, of singles, of anything competitive, just put into a much more accessible game. And sure, full accessibility would look something like Showdown. Just a straight battle simulator, no Pokemon home, pick what you want, go online. But I'm going to be honest, that would be boring as hell. Straight up, on my soul, that would be boring. This game is by no means a direct competitor to Showdown at all. I don't know why people keep comparing them. Showdown has 50 meta games. It is a straight up battle simulator. You do whatever you want on Showdown. This game, we knew a year ago that it was not going to be that. So I think it's a little weird that it's getting so much like weird criticism, not even criticism, weird like hate on Twitter. But I think there's a reason, right? Very seasoned veterans of this game, or people that really just wanted to play Showdown on Switch, they just didn't get what they want, and that's fair enough. You wanted a straight up battle simulator. I agree. I wish we did have, you know, that option. And I do think it's weird that they're gonna force VGC to be played on this, right? Right or wrong. It would be weird to get rid of all these items and all this like stuff and then force these guys that have been playing VGC for a long time, like going to real life, you know, regionals and tournaments to play this game. Sure. But if you're someone that doesn't actively play competitive, you don't actively play VGC, you've been just thinking about it, you want to do it, or maybe you just haven't even thought about it, but this game made you think about it. That's kind of the whole point. That's the marketing around it, right? But I think this game's like framework is pretty good. I'm not going to lie. They're going to spend a lot of time filling in the blanks of this game and like correcting some of the things people are talking about, right? But the battling, it's fast. I mean, it's fun. I cannot lie about that. I think the gacha system is very cool. It's pretty beginner friendly. You can go in there. You can either just choose mons you like, or just like, I would recommend personally, start with rental teams, right? Go in your old Pokemon saves and just like find a Garchomp, a Gengar, you know what I'm saying? Mons that aren't hard to find, right? That are viable in this game. Go find them, port them into home, port them into champions, and just make rental teams or use rental teams. Because the way rental teams work in this game, it's not like you can just straight up like Sharingan copy somebody's full team just straight off of Twitter, off of like a code or whatever. You do need the Pokemon in your game to actually copy them, which I think is fair enough. That's business, right? You don't want people just logging on your game and then logging off, which I feel like a lot of people kind of forget that Pokemon at the end of the day is still a business. They still have to make money. They're still going to try their hardest to make money. I think the main job of this game has already been achieved. And I'm not saying it's like a great game or even like a good game in the state that it's in right now. But I think from Game Freak and Pokemon Company's perspective, actually fucking not Game Freak. What is it? Elka? Elka made this BS? Holy smoke, Elka, you blew it twice. It is what it is. I think the base job of this game has been achieved. It is meant to simplify the viewing experience and simplify the introduction to competitive. And I'll be transparent about my background in competitive in VGC. I have played it in Sword. I played it for months on end in Sword and Shield. I mean, my box is fucked, just straight shiny Incineroars everywhere. And I used to watch it on and off back in the day. And I know how comp works. I know how VGC works. I know how regulation I and F works. I just recently started like getting back into it before the release of this game. And I'll be honest, if it just launched with like that regular VGC format, I think a lot less casuals would actually just play this game. Like, this is like the first time I have felt like I am actually going to attempt to play VGC again, because after Sword and Shield, I'm not gonna lie, like things just got complicated. Like regulation I, regulation F, like I tried it and it's AIDS, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm sure it's gonna be the same in this game with like just feeling like you lost after turn 1, but like at least I have less things to worry about, and I have the ability to at least understand what went wrong, understand how like the team dynamic works, understand more about just the simple mechanics and the base fundamentals of VGC and playing doubles, instead of like going in it and just getting overwhelmed and not wanting to play ever again. Because that is what happened to me on Showdown. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to stay free to play until I feel comfortable like making a full doubles team, or like I start aiming for the really high ranks or whatever in this game. I think staying free to play is kind of the way to go. You just hop in, dip your toes in, kind of get a feel for if you actually like competitive minds, if you care to figure it out. And I can do all this knowing that once I'm ready, I'll either have enough credits to build a full team, or I'll just spend that $6 and I'll build 2 teams. Let's be honest. I think this game is good for people trying to get introduced. I think this game does also have a lot of flaws that need to be worked out. And I do think like the removing of items is just, it's a little weird. I feel like they removed a little too many items. You know what I mean? Like life orb, like that's some regular shit. Like that's really regular shit. Like I feel like things like that could have stayed. But at the end of the day, this is like if you do not know a thing, or maybe you do know a little but never really got into it, I think this is a good start. I think it is a decent start. Don't let Twitter randoms stop you from playing a free game. I'm going to say that right now. Bottom line, do not let Twitter randoms stop you from playing a free game. At least try it for yourself before you go on Twitter or TikTok spewing and just regurgitating opinions of a game you have never played. At least try it. Also, I know a lot of Pokemon fans, I'm aware a lot of Pokemon fans aren't really too familiar with other game designs, but this is a live service game. Think Marvel Rivals, ooh, gacha games, because this is pretty much also a gacha game. So all that means is that things are going to change and get updated frequently over time for a long time. Like personally, I'm happy that I don't have to like breed or hyper train or EV train or look for IVs. Like I'm not gonna lie, I was not trying to do all that, gang. I'm glad they dumbed down the stat system in this way. If I was a beginner, this is just the moment. This is the time. And do not come in my comments complaining that I'm defending this game. You have to understand, this video is really about whether or not this is a good introduction to comp and a good way to play competitive Pokemon in general. This isn't about how good I think the game is overall. Because if you were to ask me how good I think the game is overall,